Alright, now we have our face all nice and done and our hair all nice and done. Now let's go ahead and work on the clothing. Now, of course, I want these flowers to be more pinkish, so I'm probably going to go for more of a bluish color or more of a white, pale white. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be right back and I'm going to change my water. Alright, I'm back and now I'm going to be doing the clothes. So the clothes will be relatively simple. All I have to do once again is to just wash it all with water. So take a watery brush and just brush everything with a nice big brush. Keep it nice and moist, keep it kind of shiny for now. And just color everything with this wet brush. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a very, very light blue. I'm going to take my 145 here. I'm going to dilute this heavily. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this in a very cool white. So it almost looks kind of like a diffused cool white. And that'll serve as a nice base. It's okay that it looks kind of blue. In fact, usually light blue is a sign of when artists use light blue, especially in manga, that means it's kind of like a whitish blue. It's like a cool blue, or sorry, cool white. So it's just kind of like another way of just saying this is white. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it just doesn't look like the paper. It just has a bit of a tint to it, so it works well. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing a little bit of blue on my paper. If you guys can't see that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just add a little bit more blue just to make it, I'm going to add just a little bit more blue to make it a little bit more visible. So I know that this paper is starting to get a little bit more warped now, but it's okay. Just adding pigment, and once it dries, it'll go back to normal. So we're going to wait for this to dry, and yeah, I'll be right back. Alright, so it's not completely dry yet, but it's getting there. But what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of pink to my dress. So I want to add this kind of like a little ombre. So I'm going to add a little bit of number 22, or sorry, number 32. This is a very, very hot pink, but I'm going to dilute this once again. And I'm going to color this towards the ends here. So it's kind of like an ombre of pink. So it looks a little bit more interesting. So rather than just, plain white, there's a little bit of pink to it, which I actually really like. I'm going to try and spread it a little bit more. All right. Now, whoops. I'm also going to add, sorry. I'm also going to add a little bit more of this pink along the sides. For instance, like here, for example, I want to add a little bit of blush. Just kind of show that, there's little traces of it coming down. Like so. I feel like that gives it a nice change of pace. Alright, so I'm going to fully wait for this to dry now, because this is soaked, and I'll be right back. Alright, now that this is mostly dry, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start adding some darker colors. So I'm going to take my same blue base. I'm going to take a blue. Let me just try to get this all situated here. I'm going to take a blue. This 143 here is good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically use that as a shadow. So I'm going to dilute this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a shadow. Now I wouldn't use black for this because it just kind of dulls the white out. So it's better to just use a wash out blue for the shadows. So I'm going to use that same 143 and use that for shadows. So as I, because breasts are round and it's tucking in, you want to make sure that the bottom parts are more shaded. So I'm just taking that same color and just repeating. This is a very simple dress, so it doesn't take that long to color. Of course, the paper is warped. Oh well. I'm just adding gentle strokes. I always like to have a sharp upturn. So it's thick, but then it's thin at the top. I use a little bit of this blue here and just kind of pass it on to the other parts because this looks a little bit much. So this is just more of a cool white, so blue is actually a perfect shadow because, I mean, if I were to say, she's under a blue sky right now, the shadows would be definitely a lot cooler. So that's why, when it comes to cool whites, the shadows reflect a cool background. When it comes to warm whites, if the background is warm, has a bit of a yellow tinge to it, it will have a yellower shadow. Adding more of this blue. Especially in these inner corners here, where it gets really dark due to the ambient occlusion, which is just meaning no light is touching that area. So the shadows are darker. Let's add a little bit of that color down here as well. And of course, as it turns pink, it kind of blends in with the purple. Or the pink kind of blends in with the blue to turn kind of like a purplish haze. Hope my lighting's okay. I think it is. So I'm adding just shadows under the ruffles here because it needs it. It casts a shadow, so there would generally be shadows underneath the layers of dresses. Adding some more of this blue on top. I'm gonna rotate it so you guys can't see too much of that shine. Basically just a very, very light wash of blue would give a nice shadow for the cool colors. Now if I want to make a little bit of a shadow for the pink, I'm going to add a little bit of number 22, which is this kind of reddish color here. I'm going to just use that as a darker saturated tone and use that as a shadow. And because we kind of did wet on wet, it blends a little bit better with the rest of the colors. Let's add a little bit of that tinge as well around the ends. So this looks a little bit dark right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this a little bit more pink so it kind of flows better. So it doesn't look like it's just kind of like choppy and out and misplaced. I'm going to mix a little bit of purple here just to kind of show that there's a mix between the two. And that kind of also creates a bit of a darker value. So I'm going to use that as a shadow. This is very, very loose right here because it's not the focal point. There. So that'll be pretty much it for the clothes, actually, except for this one area here. So I'm going to just shade this whole part in here blue, just to show the underlayer underneath. And that'll be it for the top. I'm actually going to add a little bit of blues here, just to kind of mix it up a little bit with the purples. So it doesn't look like too pink. It looks kind of like a mix. There. That looks better. Alright, now I'm going to be doing the bow, and that'll be probably a very, very dark blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a simple color, such as 149. Wait for this all to dry first, but then I'm going to be just painting the ribbon blue here. I'm just adding this one color only. Maybe I'll add a darker, make it a little bit more saturated so it's a little bit darker. There. That's better. I'm just going to be filling that in. If I need to make it a little bit darker, I'm going to put more color. And I'm just going to paint over on top. Now I'm going to add a little bit of my ultramarine blue and just use that as a little bit of a dark part. There. So that's it for the clothes. Let me know what you guys think. Let's see what this looks like from above. Well, it's kind of already all the way zoomed out anyway. But this is what it looks like in total. Looking pretty nice, looking pretty good. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one. And we will be doing the flowers next, as well as some accessories if I can. Anyways, that'll be it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.